in your business. It wasn't honed in on how I will help you make a difference in your business. So this is really important that you are able to describe it that way, and I thought everybody did a great job that just contributed. Then we'll go down and we will talk about the revenue streams that will come in and the cost structure. That's all part of your business, of course, the most important part, and how you'll measure them. And then, I forgot, path to customers is number 4. That's going to be really critical, and Mike's going to come in and talk about what are the paths in social media and online marketing. Number 7, unfair advantage. Sharif's going to talk about this in a few weeks, but an unfair advantage is something that can't be easily copied or bought. And so for ABC Toy Company, what it was is that they really were the first to say that special needs toys was their niche. They can be copied. They got patents. The patents can be modified, and you can get around those things. But just by being the first in that industry, in that field, made a huge difference, and it was an unfair advantage. So I'm going to go on and finalize now by talking about where are my customers, because that's what you need to know when you get on social media. And now it's getting hot in here. So, as I said before, and Mike's going to follow up in just a minute, but if you know who your customer is, then you know where to find them on social media. Are they on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter? Should you be spending, like this gentleman I was just talking to, a client, he probably shouldn't be on Facebook. He should be on LinkedIn, but he's spending a lot of time on Facebook. So I was trying to explain to him who you're targeting is not really very much on Facebook. So let's first hit on LinkedIn. But if you understand who they are, their age, their sex, their interests, all that, you can develop your content on how you're going to talk with them, and that way how you'll connect with them and interact with them. Because what it is these days is it's not push marketing, it's pull marketing. So you're out there interesting your potential clients, and we talk a lot about what content is good and where to place it so that you can start that conversation. Once you've started that conversation, then you can develop the business relationship, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, that would be the case. So I thought this was a great little quote from Henry Ford, and if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So where this goes to too is that you think you know your customer, and you think you know what they think they know what they need, but it might turn out to be something a little bit different. So it's really up to you as the entrepreneur and the business owner to understand that and to be able to verbalize that.
Can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with all the marketing things that I've read, particularly for my business as a coach, one of the things we've talked about is what is the pain? What's the
problem
and the problem, as opposed to I don't know what their solution is, and they may not know what that solution is either, just like Henry Ford's quote. But they do know what their pain is. So can you comment on that as far as social media and in this whole context?
Especially like in what you do, if you have identified the types of pains that women have in transition, and you talk about those not in a personal way to per client, but in a more general way that a potential client or an existing client will relate to, then they will relate to that, and then they will connect with you and become a client if they're not already. So
how does that differ from what you're talking to, for instance, with how Karen would focus hers, or how Pam?
Well, you're addressing a different pain altogether, and you don't have your solution's a framework, right?
Yeah.
It's not okay, do this and you're not going to feel that pain anymore. So it's a framework for analyzing the pain and how they can deal with it that you're doing. Whereas Karen has a very definite product, and you need to abide by all the regulations and what the current interest rates are and what the current real estate market is. But within that framework, you have a solution for each of your customers. This is the best that you can do in this market.
Yeah,
and their pain is that they don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know
what their options are,
right,
or even what's possible. But at the
and they're
same
confused.
time, knowing your business too, it still goes back to the lean canvas of number one, identifying the top 3 problems of what you see as, you know, so you've got the like the 2 sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
What is your customer's problem, and who are your target customers?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so,
And
know,
you need to match them. Let's do another example. Does anybody? Gina?
Well, is this so different? I'm not sure, because this is really helping me.
Mhm.
Because who buys are my sponsors. So that's
Mhm.
really interesting. It's a totally sponsored support.
What is it that you sell?
I
What is
sell
your product?
Exposure for them.
Okay, I was going to say advertising.
I do.
Yeah.
But and I tell them,
And-
if you want advertising, I'm not it, because that's not what I want to be. I'm a mission-based integrated platform.
But your advertising also has the social conscious
Yeah.
with it. So it's not just any advertising that the company's name's out there. It's that they've now associated their name with green and the environment. So that's a modification, but it's still advertising. So it's really important that you know what your product is, and I know that you do. But I have worked with people that didn't verbalize what their product was correctly. For example, I'm selling mini websites, small websites online. Really, they're doing advertising. So you need to know that, to know the customer's motivation. Sharif.
Well, I actually just wanted to comment on
Mhm.
something. So I agree with you that your primary target is obviously sponsors or people who basically pay you to advertise, right? But really, without having the audience, you can't have the sponsors, right? So you have to make sure the audience is there. So you actually have two people. You have to have to grow audience.
And I don't sell anything. And,
Right.
and I just want to say this because I have to. When I meet with sponsors, and this is why I think it's been successful and why I'm growing, I tell them, I do not want you to think I'm a paid media buy and a click-through.
Mhm.
If you want to be associated with the mission and vision of Mrs. Green, and I think that's a new paradigm, because advertising isn't working, and that's why they're buying sponsorship of Mrs. Green. Someone told me I pulled all my advertising dollars because newspapers don't work and my commercials don't work. So maybe we can talk about that more on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because it's very, and Sharif, you know my business. You're spot on. It's like I'm doing this for the sponsors, but I have to reach the consumers.
Right.
And
Who will go to those?
who will support those businesses.
But see, what you're saying is that you're legitimizing your advertisers or your sponsors by providing a forum for them to show that they are socially conscious and concerned about the environment. So, but it still goes back to the basic thing is sponsorship is advertising. But
Well, I think your program is something that the audience wants to follow, and the sponsor wants the exposure to that audience,
Yes.
and to be related to your cause.
So it's okay, I do feel schizophrenic at times. It's all
But, and I was just going to add one other piece. What I see you as, a lot is you're a connector. You absolutely are a connector because there are, there's a lot, as you know, there's a lot of people, they want to do, one of the attractiveness of what you have is that, how do you live in modern society without just, damaging everything around you, without, quitting your job and going and living in a forest. There is a way that you can do that. And how you can, and so by you being that connector, and there's one other thing, and this is also important because I think doing things sometimes, and this is a prime example and why this group is so important, is sometimes you're so close to your business you can't even see what you do.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm having the feedback. But there's a big piece is that she does it guilt-free. In other words, she's always, you are basically always saying the message, do what you can.
I am. That gives me goosebumps.
and who is your customer?
I can tell you, I know it better than ever. It's women. It's about 60% women.
Who pays you?
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah,
Totally my
they're your
sponsor.
they're your customer.
They're
Yeah.
my customer. And that's what I put down.
But just like in the special needs, it's all about the needs of the children with disabilities. It's all about the community's needs to learn more about the environment. So they are connected. But your true customer is those companies that are your sponsors. Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
on this, too. I also see you as a filter, where like sometimes there are so many choices out there, and so if like as an example,
Yeah, I've got
Gina
one.
was asking about solar,
Mhm.
well, I could go out and I could find there, maybe there are 50 people, and if she's saying,